Hello, everyone, and welcome again to our latest Alliance of Independent Authors member Q&A, where our members send in their most pressing self-publishing questions, and we do our best to answer the questions here live so that other people, other authors, can get the benefit of the reply. I'm here, as ever, for Q&A with the wonderful Michael Loran. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Orna. Happy July.
Happy July, happy middle of July. What on earth is happening? Are you unlocking where you are?
Yeah, we're doing the best we can. We're trying to get out of the house, but it's still, with numbers and stuff going up, we're always concerned, but
Yeah,
just hanging in there.
you guys are having a tough time over there. Yeah, but and with little ones, you still have to be careful. So yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. Okay, well, we have lots of questions this week, as ever, and we have people coming in. So, hi, folks, do say hello and tell us where you've come from. And if you have any follow on questions from the questions that we're discussing here, if we have time, we'll pick up on those as well. So, do
Okay.
feel free to add your questions and comments. But shall we go?
Yeah, and just real quick, a public service announcement. The book, 150 Self-Publishing Questions. If anyone doesn't know, we've been working on a book, and it's 150 self-publishing questions, Ally's Guide to Writing, Publishing, and Book Marketing. Bookmarking tips that every indie author and poet should know. That's coming out Monday, July 27th. So those of you who signed up for review copies, thank you. That's fantastic. For those of you who didn't, I realized that I gave out a wrong link last month. It's totally embarrassing for me. So just reach out to me at authorlevelup.com/contact. Fill out the contact form if you would like a review copy. I would be happy to send that to anyone in ebook and audio. And yeah, it comes out July 27th. And we would love it if a bunch of people could leave a review on day one, because then that would tell Amazon that, hey, this is a great book. We need to recommend this to more self-published writers and spread the word for Ally members. And of course, Ally members will get the book for free. So
As always, and thank you, Michael, for your generosity in that and for doing the book. And it really is a great book, and it brings together. So, everyone who's here is here today because you like hearing our member Q&A. You like hearing these questions answered. Well, what Michael has done is bring together the 150 most important, I would say, the most popular, most pressing, the things that come up for us again and again on this show. And it's all done in order of the 7 stages of the publishing process. So you can jump in wherever you are, get simple, clear, concise, but comprehensive answers to each question. And yeah, it's a great service. So we would love if you could support us indeed by reviewing and by telling other people about it.
yeah,
All right.
absolutely. And if you love this podcast, you're really going to love this book. Let's just put it that way. And Meredith Bond asked, can you put the link to that in the comments? I don't know if I can, Meredith, but I'll repeat the link again. It's authorlevelup.com/contact. Just reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you out. So
I'm putting it in as we speak.
Okay, thank you, Orna. I appreciate it.
We're doing 2 things at once. So
yeah,
you can read the first question while I do this.
I will. And our first question comes from member Marin. And the question is, how do I manage my time as an author? Marin reached out and said that there's just so many things to do as an author, writing a book, marketing that book, formatting, social media. What is an author to do?
Well, this is a question now for Michael Loran, I have to say, because people often say to me, I don't know how you do what you do, or how do you do what you do? And I say, I just look at Michael Loran and then I get on and do with the next thing I have to do, because Michael is the person I know who fits in, just to give people a quick flash through all the things that you do. And then you can give your kind of time management tips. And then if there are any left over, I'll give mine.
Yeah, you bet. Just Cliff's notes. First and foremost, I'm a father. So I have a beautiful 5-year-old daughter, beautiful wife, puppy, rabbit. And I'm also working, I work full time at a Fortune 100 insurance company as a consultant. So it's a pretty demanding job. I also teach insurance classes as kind of like an adjunct faculty member, it's something I do. And
Didn't even
then,
know about that one.
yeah, I do that. And I'm also Ally's outreach manager. So helping drive membership and bring new members in. I have a YouTube channel. I have 3 podcasts, and I'm in law school. So I'm finishing up law school. So I've kind of figured out how to build a writing career while doing all of those things, somehow managed to still be here and continue doing what I'm
And,
doing on a daily basis.
tell people who don't know how many books you've managed to write
Yeah,
in the middle of all that.
Yeah, I've written over 50 books at this point. So it's like 1.5 million words published. So, it's not too shabby. And I've learned over the years that there are certain things that I can do that help me out a lot. One of those things is making sure that I'm really clear on what it is that I should be doing every day. What are the most important things that I should be doing every day? Because there's any number of things that you could be doing every day, right? I mean, you get 365 days of the year. What is the most important thing that you can be doing today that will move your writing business forward? And sometimes that's writing more words. Sometimes it is being on social media. Sometimes it's Amazon ads. Sometimes it's purchasing a course and stopping everything you're doing to learn a new skill. And so I try to prioritize that. What are the 1 or 2 things that you should be doing every single day? And that adds up over a period of time. And yeah, another thing that I've done, I mean, I know that writing is a huge focus for many of you listening, right? I mean, the big focus is writing that next book. So one thing I've done, it's not for everybody, but one thing I've done is I've learned how to write books on my phone. So, I'm always on the go. I'm always, or at least before the world shut down, I was always on the go. So I learned how to write books on my phone using Scrivener iOS. So I was able to write books while I was at the doctor's office, write books while I was in the backseat of an Uber. And it was really more of a necessity thing. It's not because I wanted to do it. It was because I really had no choice if I was going to continue writing. And dictation, I learned how to do that. All those things save you time. And when you get to a point where you can start affording a little bit more expenses, then you consider outsourcing. Outsourcing your time, outsourcing things that maybe just aren't a good value add for you, but would be valuable if someone else could do them. I mean, maybe that's email, maybe it's some of your marketing. All that is time management. But I think it's also equally important to start to look at everything you're doing today and figure out what you shouldn't be doing. So are there things that are wasting your time? Like, for example, very, very easy example. If you're spending a lot of time fixing page breaks in Microsoft Word, switch to Scrivener or Ulysses or another writing app, because your time is too valuable when you're writing. It's hard enough to find time to write. The last thing any of us wants to do is spend time in Microsoft Word trying to troubleshoot, right? So if you spend 15 minutes every single day or 20 minutes trying to piddle around in Word, and you can eliminate that and you can save that 15, 20 minutes, then that adds up over time. You don't have to spend hours and hours a day every day writing. You can develop a writing business, and a great writing business, and a book that you're really proud of with only 30 minutes a day. It's just a mindset shift. What do you think, Orna?
Absolutely, mindset is core here, and it's something that, like you say, it becomes priority. It has to be done if you're going to get up on your legs as an indie author. You have to find the process that suits you and the way in which you kind of manage your time. Every single author has different conditions in terms of, where you live, what you work at, who you share your life with, all of these things are big factors. So first of all, it's really important to recognize that this is a top priority for you in your life, and to make sure that it gets the time and the space. So for me, it's key to begin each week with a plan. So I have a plan for what I want to make happen in different parts of the business, be that writing, be that publishing, be it whatever it might be. But I also have a time-based plan where I roughly know what's happening each day. and built into that plan. And this is really important, and a lot of authors resist it, but actually you get far more done when you do this, building in creative rest and creative play into that plan, so that you know when you're going to start working, be that grabbing it in between in the cracks, or you have a dedicated time bucket set aside for work. But you also know when you're going to rest and recuperate, which is every bit as important to the creative process as work, and also when you're going to get some play in. If you don't do that, you end up feeling either overwhelmed all the time or even all the way into burnout. So it's really key to have some practices that kind of settle the mind. It's a very mentally intensive job that we do. So we need to do something that kind of balances that physically, and also that calms the mind and settles things down, so that we can see actually we're wasting a lot of time and a lot of creative energy fretting and worrying and feeling not on top of things and so on. The second thing is, I think it's important to realize that when you're learning, there's a whole different time scale than when you're actually have learned something. And very often at the beginning, especially, or when we're trying something new, some new tool, some new technique, we can get those two things mixed up. And so we think, oh, this takes absolutely ages. Something like, formatting, say, or any task. We think this takes so long because we're thinking about it first time out. And first time out, it does take a long time, but the second time you do it, less so. And a lot of these things get easier and easier. It's about sticking around. And so that's where the creative rest and play comes in as well, because it's about setting a long-term objective. If you're trying to do everything in the next 6 weeks, then you're going to feel constantly stressed and harassed, and you don't produce very well. You can produce far more fluidly and fluently if you get the balance right. And that's the way in which good creative work proceeds, whether that's the writing or the publishing work or the business work. So the other important thing for me in terms of planning is that I plan not just the making, as I think of it, the work where we're making the words, making the book, making the ads and things for, or the social media updates or whatever it might be. There's the managing of the process of our business, how things move through us and get made. And then there's the promotional side of it. And each of those need, at the beginning of the week, we need to be thinking about ourselves wearing each of those hats, and each of them requires a different kind of energy. And I think that's why sometimes a lot of time can go in a bit of a fight between the maker, creative side, and the promotional, commercial side. Integrating those together into a plan that you enjoy saves you an awful lot of time. So they're not really kind of practical, here's how you save 10 minutes kind of things, but I think they are key to good time management across a week.
No, that's great. It's great. And I would also add to that, don't beat yourself up if you set a plan and it doesn't succeed, or it takes you longer to use something than maybe you want. That's just par for the course. That's how things go. And I love your comment on how the time scale changes if you're learning something. It's kind of like running a mile for the first time. It feels like you're going to die, when you run your first mile. But then slowly over time, you start to shave off time off of the mile, and you can run a mile without even thinking about it, right? But the first time you run a mile and you've never run a mile before, it's going to be really painful. And you're probably going to have to stop a few times and double over and pant, and that's just how it goes. So we have a comment from Sherry Dr. Hurst. I'm making a real effort to track how long the various stages of writing, drafting, outlining, and editing take, so that I can have a realistic sense of workflow for future planning. I was always scrambling to meet deadlines, and I'm looking for those bottlenecks. That's a great point. Yeah, look for the bottlenecks. Look for the things that you shouldn't be doing. Look for the things that are taking you more time than they should. And when you're learning, you don't know how much time things should take. So it's okay if things take you a while. I mean, you just, it's all about the journey. It's about the learning process. And that's the great thing about it. And, Dale Roberts is watching. Dale, thank you for watching. Michael Oran is my hero. I love his undying work ethic and enthusiasm. Well, thank you.
Oh, you too. You're so cute.
It's very kind. All right. So any other thoughts to add on time management, Orna?
You know, there's so much.
There is. There's a lot. We could do the whole episode on that.
We could, and maybe we will actually sometime. Let's do a special on time management, because I think it really does go to the core of things. But you know, the only thing I would add is that you touched off it, and I'd like to kind of highlight it, that you will have to let things go. You're not going to be able to fit in everything you think you want to do. And it really is, time management is a choice. It's a process of choice through which you find out what is most important to you in terms of what you're going to publish, how you're going to publish. And not everything has to be done at once. I think this is a mistake that I see a lot of indies make, and I've made myself, trying to do too many things at the same time.
Yep.
Much better to do, and you're good at this, Michael, to do one thing at a time, go all the way through, get it finished, then do the next thing, and not to open too many boxes all at once. It inevitably takes longer, I think, because you've just got that journeying from one thing to another going on. And yeah, I mean, we could go on and on, but we can't.
Yeah,
We've got other questions.
Yep. And we'll Marie, we'll get to your question here maybe at the end. I see your question on writing apps or on apps. So member Stephen asks, he reached out to KDP and was wondering when they would distribute books to libraries. What's your take, Orna? Do you think KDP will ever distribute books to libraries?
Well, nobody ever knows what KDP is going to do for sure, but my guess would be no. KDP is very much, Amazon is very much about getting the whole world into their system rather than distributing out to other systems. So my guess would be no. There are plenty of other services that do feed libraries. Kobo has just, and Overdrive have just got a very good arrangement now. There are lots of ways now for indies to get into libraries. Overdrive is the company you need to be thinking about, and they'll take you most places worldwide. But yeah, I wouldn't be waiting around for KDP. Who knows? You know, maybe, but I don't think so. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, unless KDP acquires Overdrive, I don't see it. There's just too much. There's just too much division, I think, in the publishing industry against Amazon for that to happen. But you know, long term, definitely, possibly, you know, we could see it happen. So, all right. Our next question is from Brian. Brian asks, how do I get a manuscript's legality checked? So not sure what the context is here, but I'm just going to kind of go out on a limb and say maybe there's some things in the manuscript that could cause some legal trouble. What is the best way to make sure that before you publish a book, you're not going to have those legal troubles?
Well, we can help to a degree. We're not lawyers, and we certainly wouldn't be able to give you the service that a lawyer, an attorney would be able to give you. But what we can do is do an overview for you and give you some general legal advice. So I'm not sure whether the question refers to libel or, you know, what sort of legality you're thinking about. But if you want to send it through, we'll take a look. Ethan Ellenberg is the agency that we work with around most contractual and legal sorts of issues, but we have access to other people who have legal expertise. And of course, you, Michael, have legal expertise as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I would say, you know, most authors probably going to be okay unless you're writing about real people, or if your genre is memoir, true crime, autobiography, or you know, something where you're writing about people that are alive and could be angry at you for what you write. If you write in any of those genres, then I think your risk is heightened, or if you're writing about real people. But yeah, I mean, I definitely reach out to Ally and all the things that the services that they offer. That's a great thing. I mean, how many organizations will say we'll try to help you out and give you some advice as much as you can. So very cool. Okay, so next answer or next question is from James, And long story short, James has published a book in ebook and audio, and it's done pretty well. And he wants to pursue Spanish translation, and he's just gotten the book back from his translator, and he's getting ready to publish. And he's wondering, what is the best way to market a translation in general?
Yes. So increasingly what's happening with indie authors is that they are, if they're taking this route, so just to kind of set the context, there are really two routes to take as an indie if you want to see your book in translation. You can either license the right to a Spanish language publisher or an agent who has contacts with Spanish language publishers and license the rights to them for a period of time to publish it in Spanish. Or you can take the route that this member has taken, which is to actually get the book translated yourself and upload it directly onto Spanish speaking services. Either route, we are seeing members have success with both of these routes. So, you know, one is not necessarily better than the other. They're quite different. If you're taking this route, it's advisable that your translator could also be your marketer, so that your translator would actually set you up on a social medium in Spanish language and get you, you know, tweeted and or Facebook updates or whatever your social medium of choice might be. In other words, that they would help you do the promotion in the Spanish language. It's very difficult for you, unless you're bilingual, of course, and I'm assuming not because of the question. It's very difficult for you to do any marketing. And we have seen a lot of indies who have translated their books, put them up, and, you know, then just don't know what to do next. So it's either about hiring a marketing service on the ground in those places. And unfortunately, we, as yet anyway, are not able to recommend any services outside of the English language. So we wouldn't be able to say, you know, that's an approved service or not, as we do in, you know, in English language speaking services. You are a pioneer. As yet, this area is not fully developed. And so that means both opportunities, but quite significant challenges. So everybody who solves this for themselves helps somebody else to solve it the next time. So do let us know what you decide to do and how you decide to approach it.
Yeah, no, I think you answered the question perfectly. So our next question comes from member Tina, and she asks, what are some helpful tips for first-time authors on how to find the right literary agent?
Okay, it's interesting. It's not really our approach. A first-time author is very unlikely to be able to find a literary agent now these days. It gets harder and harder. It gets harder and harder for first time. The reason for that is it's getting harder and harder for first-time authors to find a publisher. And, you know, so agents are looking for authors who have a body of work behind them and who clearly demonstrate that they are writers. There's a thing in the publishing industry where the first book for a while became a big deal because for various reasons within trade and corporate publishing that I'm not going to go into because it would take too long and it's not really that important. But for a while, the debut author became very central to publishing, and you got a lot of first-time authors making big deals and then either succeeding and going on, which in small minority, or not doing well and being dropped. And that was a sort of a trend that came in the late 2000s, like around 2009 to 2010. And has continued a bit since. But in general now, there's less and less interest in the first-time author. And there are all sorts of reasons for that. It's difficult for an agent to make money on one book and therefore to take a punt on an author. What agents are actually doing now is they're taking interest in self-publishing authors who have already put their work out there and who have demonstrated that they can sell books and so on. So you have to make a decision if you're going to spend your time submitting and pitching agents around your one book, or if you're going to spend your time getting on and writing the next book. we would highly recommend that you get on and write the next book rather than looking and wait for the time when an agent comes to you, or at least for the time when you have a story to tell that agent. So, you know, agents look for records in terms of awards and prizes or sales or something that tells them you've got what it takes. Fewer and fewer agents are going just on the basis of a good book, because to be frank, there are too many good books out there. There are so many people writing so well now. And the whole industry has just raised its game hugely in the last decade. So our advice, I know Michael will agree with me, it would be to get on, write the next book, probably publish it yourself, and get stuck in with getting a relationship with your readers, understanding your niche, understanding what you do, and then an agent or a publisher will come looking for you. And if you have publisher interest, you'll have no trouble getting agent interest.
Yeah, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. Another reason I agree with that is because first-time authors are frequently scammed by unscrupulous agents as well. Now, that's not to say that literary agents are bad, but there are some bad actors out there. And if you're a first-time author, you are particularly a target. So it's far better to be more successful to attract an agent, because then you know you're going to attract more reputable people than to go off and find someone who may not have your best interests at heart. So there are lots of resources out there to help you identify good actors and bad actors, but that's just something else that you need to be aware of.
Yeah, good, very good point. And publishers too.
Yeah.
You know, we get every single week, we get people coming onto the forum saying, you know, I just got an email from ABC publisher saying my manuscript is fantastic, send it over. And then you realize they're not a publisher at all.
Yep.
They're a service, and they're going to charge you for the privilege. And you're much better off to learn how to publish yourself at this stage. It's a great skill for every writer to have, even if you don't always use it and you don't go on to be fully indie for the rest of your life. Knowing every author should self-publish at least once, because you learn so much from doing it.
Yep, I agree. All right, so we'll get back to Marie's question. Marie Nicholson asks, back to our time management, do you use any particular apps to help you with time management? How about you, Orna? What do you use?
The only thing I use pen and paper. I have my own planning system, which I tried everything over the years, and anything on a computer doesn't work for me. It just feels too harsh and like a big bad boss or something. It doesn't work. So I have my very own planning system, which I share with other people, which is very old-fashioned and very, very analog, pen and paper based. I do the one app that I do use if things are crazy, and you know they get crazy every so often around here, is Freedom or No Social, where I just make sure I shut down the internet, because I'm tempted, because emails are coming in, there's so much going on or whatever, so that I just get into that focus zone. I don't have to do that all the time, but I go through periods where it becomes necessary. So that's the only app, which is really about just blocking out the time and the space and the focus to do the deep work. And it's not an app at all, but it is a habit that I would encourage everybody, is to do the most important thing in the day first. And the thing that nobody is calling for, the thing that there is no deadline for, that nobody cares about you doing it, except you, and that's your next book. Try and get that done as early as possible in the day as you can. The concept of putting things first is kind of important. But I'm not really an app person when it comes to time management. Are you?
Oh yeah. I'm definitely an app person. Yeah, I love your comment on getting the most important thing done. Mark Twain always said, if you can eat a frog before breakfast, then everything else is much easier. So eat that frog in the morning and everything is good.
I love it.
I don't necessarily say that there is a time, like a dedicated time management app, but I have found that there are two things in particular that have been a game changers for me. The first is the right writing app. If you get the right writing app that fits you like a glove, then it makes your writing session so much better, because you produce more words. You don't spend time troubleshooting. So Scrivener and Ulysses for me are apps that I feel like I know how to use them. spent some time to learn how they work. And so when I show up to the page, I don't have any problems because I can focus on the writing, and that there's so much to be said for that, especially people that are using like Microsoft Word or open office products, where you end up, I mean, they're bless their hearts, but they're just not meant for writers. So having the right tool will save you a lot of time. Also, having the right email client also will save you a lot of time. Now, I don't know about everybody else's situation, but I drown in emails sometimes. And being able to have an email client that I can get through emails really quickly is really, really helpful. So like Inbox by Gmail, when they had that out, that was a great tool for me because I could fly through my emails a lot faster. So if you're one of those people that your life is driven by email, also having the right email client would be helpful, because the more successful you get, the more email becomes a problem.
It's interesting what you're saying.
It's a big problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with every word you're saying. And it's interesting because I was thinking very linearly in terms of just time management apps per se. Mm-hmm. If we're talking in that more, that wider context of tools that help you to save time that you use very consciously, for me, the number one has to be dictation. Yep. And I use the Dragon app because I do find it the best. There are lots of different dictation apps, and indeed your computer comes now with a pretty good one, and your phone comes with an excellent one. So you may not need it, but Dragon does give you the length and all sorts of things, and where you can do your writing across different devices. And again, it just makes everything extremely convenient, and I like it. It suits me. So it just made all the difference in the world. So like you, I fly through emails when I do them through dictation. I don't fly through emails when I find myself ploddingly typing back to somebody, which does happen every so often, that you just find yourself there, why am I typing this? I should be speaking this. So yeah, dictation is my number one time saver and productivity app, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, we have another comment here from Tana. What happened to the question about resources for publishing a children's book? Well, I don't think we talked about it this week. We may have mentioned it last month. What resources do we have for that?
We actually have a children's advisor, Karen Inglis, who's marvelous, and she's really super helpful. If it's children's books are like, say, poetry or fiction, children's books is what we call a macro genre. So without knowing the specifics of what age group you're talking about, the type of book, is it a picture book, is it just a textbook, the resources and the information that we would give would vary greatly depending on that. So sort of, perhaps there was a submission about a general question about resources for publishing children's books, which we may not have included in the mix because, as I say, it's impossible to give. It's like saying resources for publishing a novel. It's huge. We need to know a little bit more about the type of book. But it's on the list for today. Picture, okay. It may have got dropped, Tona, for that reason. So apologies for that if you were expecting it. But if you come straight back to us by email or any other way that, many ways that you can contact us, we'll be able to go into more of the specifics and put you in touch with you. If you go to the Allied team page, you'll see Karen Inglis's contact details there. And she has an amazing record as a children's book publisher herself, but she's also incredibly giving and has fabulous information to impart to every indie who asks. Essentially, she's just wonderful. She also has a book about how to self-publish a children's book well. So I definitely would recommend you taking a look at that.
All right. And looking at
Kate Woodward. Karen Inglis has a great book on Amazon.
Yes.
Exactly. And we will put all the links and all the details of everything that we've referred to here into the show notes in the podcast post, which will appear on the Ally blog next Friday. So watch out for that if you're looking for any of the links and things to things we've talked about today.
Yes. And yes, this episode will come out next Friday, or Friday when you're listening to this. And don't forget, July 27th, 150 self-publishing questions answered. Launch date. Exciting times.
Keep an eye out for it, folks. Yeah, there is a pre-order available. You can pre-order it on Amazon. You can pre-order it through Ally. There's a form for that, which again we will be including in the show notes. And yeah, Michael has left the contact. Do you want to say it one more time for people who weren't here at the beginning?
Yeah, if you would like a review copy, I'm not sure when people in the future will be listening to this, but happy to give it out anytime, even if it's after the launch. It's authorlevelup.com/contact.
Great.
It's authorlevelup.com/contact.
Okay, fantastic. All right then. So thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. Keep the questions coming. We really like to receive your questions, and every question that gets answered here helps not just you, but also everybody who listens in and who has a similar question. So yeah, keep them coming and keep on writing and publishing.
All right.
Till next time.
Thanks, Orna. Take care, everybody.
Bye.